So, good morning everyone. In last class, we discussed about Bernstein's condition, and here in Bernstein conditions, we are considering two processes P1 and P2 with their input sets I1 and I2, and output sets O1 and O2. And these two processes can execute parallel if they are independent, and these conditions has to be followed, like I1 intersection O2 is equal to null set, I2 is equal to I2 intersection O1 is equal to null set, and O1 intersection O2 should be null set. So these three conditions are also known as Bernstein condition. So we will understand this Bernstein's condition with an example. So consider the simple case in which each process is a single high level statement. So we want to detect parallelism embedded in the following five statements. They are labeled as P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. So they have given five statements. Each one is called as a process right now, and we are trying to execute parallelly. So before that, we have to detect parallelism. Let us see how we will detect the parallelism. Okay, now let us solve this problem. So we have five statements, so we will take P1, P1, then we take P2, then we will take P3, then we will take P4, then P5. First, we have to identify flow dependence between the statements. So first we will compare P1 and P2. If you observe here, in P1 we are trying to multiply C is equal to D into E. So the output is C, and in P2 we are adding M is equal to G plus C. So here we are using C. Okay, if you observe here, C is used as a input in P2 statement. So we are using P1's C in the P2. So there is a flow dependence. So already we have discussed in the previous videos. So P1 and P2, if they are flow dependent, we are denoting it by a arrow mark. Similarly, we have to compare P1 and PC. Again we are using C. If you are observing, this C and this is used here in P3 also. So again P1 and P3 you can draw the flow dependence. And again if you go to P1 and P4, C is not used as input, so no problem. But again if you see for P1, P5, again there is no C is used there, so no problem. Now P1 is compared with P2, P3, P4, P5. Now we have to compare P2 with P3, and in P2 M is the output, so we have to see where M is used as a input in next statements. If we observe P3 here, M is not used, but in P4 we are using. So from M to M there is a connection. Okay, so this is P2 and P4. We can again draw like a arrow mark. Similarly, we can check for P3 and P4. Again P3 and P4, A is there, A is not used, no problem. And P4, if you observe, C is the, so it is not used. And P5, F, so there is no next statement, so there is no problem. Now flow dependence is checked. Now we will check output dependence. First we'll check with P1. P1 output is C, and if you check the next statements, and in P4 also we are using C. So P1 and P4 are having output dependence, so you draw with a bubble arrow mark. Okay, similarly you have to find anti-dependence also. So anti-dependence is nothing but, if you observe P1, we have two inputs D and E. We have to check where the D is used. So we don't have D, no problem. In M again we don't have, sorry, G and C, no problem. But here in P4, C is the output and it is used as an input here. You see this is the connection C to C. So for anti-dependence you have to see the P4C and it is used as an input in P2. So this is called as an anti-P4 and P2. So there is a anti-dependence. So draw with the dashed arrow. Similarly, and if you observe, so like that we have to draw the dependency graph so that to detect the parallelism. So let us see the diagram in next slide. So if you observe, so in P1 we are using multiplication sign, so that's why they have written here multiplication sign. And if you see here P1 and P2 plus 1, so they have taken this as plus 1, this as plus 2, and this as plus 3. Okay, so P1 is connected to P2, and if you observe P1 is connected to P2, and in this case it is dependent on C and C, so that's why there is one arrow mark here. Similarly, again if you see here, again P2 and P4, P2 and P4, if you see here M is output, here it is used. So P2 and P4 we have an arrow mark. Okay, and there is also an anti-dependency between P2 and P4, that's why this dashed line, if you see here there is a dashed line here, so this is anti-dependency. And P3 and P4, and if you observe P3 and P4, again here also C is used as an input here, so this is anti-dependency. So P3 and P4, if you see the arrow mark here, arrow mark like this line, so this is anti-dependency. Okay, and output dependence, if you see here P1 and P4 both are having they are using C. So if you see here, this is bubbled one. Okay, P1 and P3, sorry, P1 and P4 output dependency, and P4 we don't have any connections. So dependence graph showing both data dependence, that is solid arrows, dash resource dependence is denoted by dashed arrows. Resource means here it is hardware, because this, for addition we are using this hardware, so they are all are dependent, means if you want to execute, okay, so the same type of instructions, then we are using these hardwares, that is adders. Okay, that's why the resource dependent is denoted by dashed arrows. Okay, now let us try to execute the same program in 5 steps, that is one step per statement. So one step per statement. So first P1, so we are doing multiplication here, and inputs are D and E. So D here and E here, and it produces output C, and you can see here it is output is C. And for program 2 statement, so the 2, so we have G plus C. So input is coming from P1, and G plus C we are giving to the adder. Output is M, and this is given to P4. If you see here, M is used here, that is in P2 to P4, that's why M, if you observe here, so here from here it is coming to process 4. Okay, next P3 we have B plus C. So B is used as a input, and C again we are using from P1 output, whatever output is there. Okay, you can see the dependency now. Okay, we cannot change the order. If you want to change, if you change the order, the logic of the program will change. So there are lots of dependency between the instructions. So we are trying to exploit parallelism, so we have to detect parallelism wherever it is possible. And if you observe, similarly we can do it for P4. We have L plus M is taken from again P2, and in P5 it is completely independent of previous instructions, so G and E, and it will final output will be F. So this is a sequential execution in 5 steps, assuming one step per statement. Now what we will try to do, we to try to execute parallel execution in, so here if you see here, parallel execution in 3 steps. In previous case, if you observe, we executed in 5 steps. Now we are trying to execute in 3 steps, assuming 2 adders are available per step. So 2 adders are available per step, so we are adding more hardware here to reduce the execution time. Okay, and if you observe here, so first is in P1 we are trying to do C into D into E. So if you see here, we are doing multiplication, and D and E are given as an input, and C is the output here, and this is P1, but C is used as an input to P2 as well as P3. Okay, but both are using same hardware. So in previous case it was impossible because there was only one adder, but in this case we have 2 adders, so +1 and +2. So what we will do, C is given as an input to both the adders. So if you observe here, P2 is here, so G plus C, so G is given as an input and C is coming from P1. At the same time we are executing P3 also, that is B plus C, and at the same time we are executing P5 also. P5, that is, this is a division one, okay, sorry, this is a division, so G divided by E, that is F, and in P4 we are executing, we are getting the output like this. And if you see here, we are trying to execute parallel here, so instead of 5 steps, we are executing 3 steps. So this is how we detect parallelism among the statements using constant condition and increase the speed of the program. Okay, whenever a program is given, we have to find anti-dependency, flow dependency, output dependency, and we have to try to remove those dependency by adding more hardware or some other logic. So we will discuss in depth about all these dependencies and how to eliminate those dependency to exploit the parallelism. Okay, so for time being they have given simple statements, but in real world examples, you know, the assembly language, as in 4th sem you have learned about microprocessors, so it's quite bit confusion, tough to understand, because you have to remember all the instruction sets and the addressing modes, so it needs lots of experience to design exploit parallelism in the program. Okay, thank you very much.